Hi, my name is Lyn-Marie Lynton. I am hailing and reporting to you live from the beautiful Andromeda Botanic Gardens here in Barbados. As an aspiring environmental scientist and final year master's student of the Natural Resource and Environmental Science program, specializing in climate change, I have always taken an interest in the importance of biodiversity for a sustainable future for us to enjoy, as well as its other significant perks, such as the role it plays in ecosystem-based approaches to climate change. It is for this very reason that I decided to take part in this competition to address the IDB 2022 theme, Building a Shared Future for All, and this topic, National and Regional Youth Priorities for the Global Biodiversity Framework. Under this theme and topic, I am proposing strong advocacy for a policy change for protected land areas and forest rehabilitation. Now, before I delve into my proposition for the topic, it is important that some key terms are defined. Allow me to take a moment to do just that, so that my vision and your understanding align. Biodiversity is all the different forms of life in an area, natural flora and fauna combined. The Caribbean and CARICOM community are home to much of this, some untouched and unrefined. Our biodiversity has many uses, including a food source, livelihoods, and natural habitats. But the one we will focus on today will be that of ecosystem services, as it is through carbon sequestration that we will seek to pitch our advocacy chats, showing how biodiversity preservation has many urgent and far-reaching purposes. Areas of biodiversity can be protected through legislation, conservation, and preservation efforts. This may also include reforestation and afforestation, planting and replanting of new trees. If Dubai can create the most luxurious areas out of dry desert, we can create larger areas of biodiversity through reforestation and afforestation with ease. Let us use that Caribbean privilege to our advantage of sun, rainfall, and soil fertility. The advocacy I am proposing must be approached very strategically in order for it to be effective. When advocating environmental interests, you must appeal to policymakers and those holding the reins. Luckily for us within this region, where rising sea level and temperatures have been detected, the buzzwords and most appealing cause on the market, and rightfully so, is climate change. Data and research must first be done on the state of our biodiversity nationally and across the Caribbean. A concrete case needs to be made about the problems we are experiencing and its far-reaching range, as well as the efficacy of the implementation of protected land areas and forest rehabilitation. Gathering reliable data and facts about biodiversity loss will help build a strong case for policy change. The next step will be to effectively communicate and frame this message to the right audiences. The solution has to be either on their agenda or solve a current problem of interest. As highlighted before, in light of the climate change crisis disproportionately affecting SIDS, biodiversity conservation through protected land areas and rehabilitation can help alleviate this. In order to use ecosystem-based approaches to fight climate change, biodiversity conservation automatically takes precedence. And to take this a step further in the spirit of CARICOM community, this effort can be extended regionally. Each member state of the CARICOM community produces greenhouse gases as we strive to advance our status of development. I am therefore proposing a shift from the singular way we see emissions and climate change adaptation to one that sees it collectively. The vast amount of biodiversity in the Caribbean has afforded us a high carbon sequestration potential rank, making it possible for us to achieve climate change objectives of net zero carbon emissions by 2030. If we adopt a collective approach, considering ourselves as one unit, producing emissions and one big carbon tank, in the spirit of CARICOM community, combining our carbon sequestration abilities to achieve carbon neutrality. Just to illustrate my point of the efficacy of combining the natural resources of our islands, research has shown that the Caribbean produces 105 million tons of carbon dioxide. However, Guyana alone has a carbon sequestration capacity of 90.5 gigatons, an elimination of all of the Caribbean's emissions that one of our countries alone can provide. Imagine if we can combine our resources in the fight against climate change, we would make great strides. Through educating lawmakers on the correlation between biodiversity conservation and some alleviation to the effects of climate change, it will allow us to develop strong relationships and better inform policymakers, putting pen to legal paper, who we hope will then advocate for the kinds of policies to protect our biodiversity and let sustainability reign. This is my proposition for the national and regional youth priority for the Global Biodiversity Framework.